Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Grounds for feeling hopeful about the future. There is little or no promise that he will recover. Make a promise or commitment. A verbal commitment by one person to another agreeing to do, or not to do, something in the future. Give grounds for expectations. The results promised fame and glory. Promise to undertake or give. I promise you my best effort. Regard something as probable or likely. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Be excited or anxious about. Act in advance of. Deal with ahead of time. Realize beforehand. Be a forerunner of or occur earlier than. This composition anticipates Impressionism. Assign a specified, usually proper name to. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Order, request, or command to come. She was called into the director's office. Utter a sudden loud cry. Pay a brief visit. The mayor likes to call on some of the prominent citizens. The option to buy a given stock, or stock index or commodity future, at a given price before a given date. A demand by a broker that a customer deposit enough to bring his margin up to the minimum requirement. A demand especially in the phrase. The call of duty. A telephone connection. She reported several anonymous calls. A loud utterance, often in protest or opposition. Greet, as with a prescribed form, title, or name. She calls him by first name. Demand payment of a loan. Give the calls to the dancers for a square dance. Get or try to get into communication with someone by telephone. I tried to call you all night. The characteristic sound produced by a bird. Make a demand, as for a card or a suit or a show of hands. He called his trump. A brief social visit. Senior professors' wives no longer make afternoon calls on newcomers. A demand for a show of hands in a card game. After 2 raises there was a call. An instruction that interrupts the program being executed. Pascal performs calls by simply giving the name of the routine to be executed. A request. Many calls for Christmas stories. Ascribe a quality to or give a name of a common noun that reflects a quality. He called me a bastard. A special disposition, as if from a divine source, to pursue a particular course. A visit in an official or professional capacity. The pastor's calls on his parishioners. Call a meeting. Invite or command to meet. The 1C conference was called to discuss the final solution. Challenge. Somebody, to make good on a statement. Charge with or censure for an offense. He deserves to be called on that. Challenge the sincerity or truthfulness of. Call the speaker on a question of fact. Consider or regard as being. I would not call her beautiful. Declare in the capacity of an umpire or referee. Call a runner out. Indicate a decision in regard to. Call balls and strikes behind the plate. Lure by imitating the characteristic call of an animal. Make a stop in a harbor. The ship will call in Honolulu tomorrow. Order or request or give a command for. The unions called a general strike for Sunday. Order, summon, or request for a specific duty or activity, work, role. He was already called 4 times for jury duty. Read aloud to check for omissions or absentees. Require the presentation of for redemption before maturation. Rouse somebody from sleep with a call. I was called at 5 a.m. this morning. Send a message or attempt to reach someone by radio, phone, etc. Make a signal to in order to transmit a message. Hawaii is calling. Sports, the decision made by an umpire or referee. He was ejected for protesting the call. Stop or postpone because of adverse conditions, such as bad weather. Call a football game. Utter a characteristic note or cry. Blue jays called to one another. Utter in a loud voice or announce. He called my name. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Indicate, as with a sign or an omen. Foreshadow or presage. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Indicate, as with a sign or an omen. Make a prediction about. Tell in advance. Indicate, as with a sign or an omen. Intend with some possibility of fulfillment. I hope to have finished this work by tomorrow evening. Expect and wish. I hope she understands that she cannot expect a raise. Grounds for feeling hopeful about the future. United States comedian, born in England, who appeared in films with Bing Crosby, 1903 to 2003. A specific instance of feeling hopeful. It revived their hope of winning the pennant. Be optimistic. Be full of hope. Have hopes. One of the 3 Christian virtues. Someone, or something, on which expectations are centered. He was their best hope for a victory. The general feeling that some desire will be fulfilled. In spite of his troubles, he never gave up hope. Cause to feel sure. Give reassurance to. The airline tried to reassure the customers that the planes were safe. Be careful or certain to do something. Make certain of something. Make a promise or commitment. Make certain of. Inform positively and with certainty and confidence. Assure somebody of the truth of something with the intention of giving the listener confidence. I assured him that traveling to Cambodia was safe. Behave unnaturally or affectedly. The enactment of a pretense. It was just pretend. Represent fictitiously, as in a play, or pretend to be or act like. State insincerely. She pretended not to have known the suicide bomber. Imagined as in a play. Dangling their legs in the water to catch pretend fish. Make believe with the intent to deceive. Put forward, of a guess, in spite of possible refutation. I cannot pretend to say that you are wrong. Put forward a claim and assert right or possession of. Pretend the title of king. An estimate based on little or no information. Guess correctly. Solve by guessing. He guessed the right number of beans in the jar and won the prize. Judge tentatively or form an estimate of quantities or time. Expect, believe, or suppose. I guess she is angry at me for standing her up. A message expressing an opinion based on incomplete evidence. Put forward, of a guess, in spite of possible refutation. I am guessing that the price of real estate will rise again. Take a risk in the hope of a favorable outcome. A source of danger. A possibility of incurring loss or misfortune. Drinking alcohol is a health hazard. Put at risk. An unknown and unpredictable phenomenon that causes an event to result one way rather than another. Put forward, of a guess, in spite of possible refutation. An obstacle on a golf course. An investment that is very risky but could yield great profits. Proceed somewhere despite the risk of possible dangers. We ventured into the world of high-tech and bought a supercomputer. Put at risk. Put forward, of a guess, in spite of possible refutation. A commercial undertaking that risks a loss but promises a profit. Any venturesome undertaking, especially one with an uncertain outcome. A habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. Belief about, or mental picture of, the future. The act of looking out. The possibility of future success. His prospects as a writer are excellent. Someone who is considered for something, for an office or prize or honor, etc. The visual percept of a region. Belief about, or mental picture of, the future. A prediction of the course of a disease. Explore for useful or valuable things or substances, such as minerals. Search for something desirable. Prospect a job. Belief about, or mental picture of, the future. The sum of the values of a random variable divided by the number of values. Anticipating with confidence of fulfillment. The feeling that something is about to happen. Announce publicly or officially. The president declared war. Declare to be. She was declared incompetent. Authorize payments of. Declare dividends. Designate, a trump suit or no trump, with the final bid of a hand. Make a declaration, of dutiable goods, to a customs official. Do you have anything to declare? Proclaim one's support, sympathy, or opinion for or against. His wife declared at once for moving to the West Coast. State emphatically and authoritatively. He declared that he needed more money to carry out the task he was charged with. State firmly. He declared that he was innocent. The use of language to perform some act. A message that makes a pledge. A short message, as in a book or musical work or on a photograph, dedicating it to someone or something. The act of binding yourself, intellectually or emotionally, to a course of action. A ceremony in which something, as a building, is dedicated to some goal or purpose. Complete and wholehearted fidelity. A message that makes a pledge. The trait of sincere and steadfast fixity of purpose. A man of energy and commitment. The official act of consigning a person to confinement, as in a prison or mental hospital. The act of binding yourself, intellectually or emotionally, to a course of action. His long commitment to public service. An engagement by contract involving financial obligation. His business commitments took him to London. Be priced at. Represent, as of a character on stage. Form or compose. These constitute my entire belonging. Be identical or equivalent to. Have life, be alive. A light, strong, brittle gray toxic bivalent metallic element. Have an existence, be extant. Work in a specific place, with a specific subject, or in a specific function. Have the quality of being. Copula, used with an adjective or a predicate noun. Occupy a certain position or area, be somewhere. What is behind this behavior? Spend or use time. I may be an hour. To remain unmolested, undisturbed, or uninterrupted, used only in infinitive form. Let her be. The money risked on a gamble. Maintain with or as if with a bet. Stake on the outcome of an issue. The act of gambling. Indicate, as with a sign or an omen. Ancient Rome, a religious official who interpreted omens to guide public policy. Predict from an omen. The money risked on a gamble. Have faith or confidence in. You can bet on that. Maintain with or as if with a bet. I bet she will be there. Stake on the outcome of an issue. I bet $100 on that new horse. The act of gambling. He did it on a bet. Predict in advance. Have faith or confidence in. Specifically design a product, event, or activity for a certain public. Judge to be probable. Keep an account of. Make a mathematical calculation or computation. Predict in advance. Judge to be probable. A prediction about how something, as the weather, will develop. Indicate, as with a sign or an omen. Attempt to anticipate or predict. Deliver a sermon. Predict or reveal through, or as if through, divine inspiration. Have or contain a certain wording or form. The passage reads as follows. Make sense of a language. Can you read Greek? Obtain data from magnetic tapes or other digital sources. This dictionary can be read by the computer. Indicate a certain reading, of gauges and instruments. The gauge read, empty. Interpret something in a certain way. Convey a particular meaning or impression. I read this address as a satire. Be a student of a certain subject. She is reading for the bar exam. Audition for a stage role by reading parts of a role. Interpret something that is written or printed. Read the advertisement. Interpret the significance of, as of palms, tea leaves, intestines, the sky, also of human behavior. She read the sky and predicted rain. Look at, interpret, and say out loud something that is written or printed. The king will read the proclamation at noon. Something that is read. The article was a very good read. To hear and understand. I read you loud and clear. Attempt to anticipate or predict. Evaluate or criticize with hindsight. Predict or reveal through, or as if through, divine inspiration. Foretell through or as if through the power of prophecy.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.